The Last Night finally concluded its box office run worldwide, and now we're getting the final tabulations of the numbers of what this movie finally made after everything is said and done. And unfortunately, it's actually the worst performing Transformer movie of the Michael Bay era. So congratulations, you beat the '86 movie, but that's not something that any movie should ever aim to do, because that was a very limited release in small theaters, and it was a whole other time. Um, but this movie, unfortunately, just to throw some numbers out here, the final earning worldwide was 604 million, which is still, by the way, considered a major success.
Yeah, of course.
It's still considered a major success, but the final earning is 604 million. To break it down, domestic was 130 and international was 473. Um, but to give you an idea, compared to the other movies, The Last Night, as I just mentioned, domestically made 130 million. The Age of Extinction before that made 245 million. You're talking 115 million difference right there. Then Dark of the Moon made even more. It made 352 million locally. Revenge of the Fallen made 402 million. And even the first Transformers movie, that was a risk and people didn't know what we were getting into, made 319 million. So the only one that even comes close to it is Age of Extinction, and it's still 115 million difference, which is a lot. That's a lot of money, in terms of of considering the last movie of how much was made and stuff. So, and it's not to say because the one good thing with the statistics here, like it had just as many theater openings, it had just as much time to be in theaters. It's just I feel that the interest has waned.
Yeah.
Maybe it's emotional fatigue, because they kind of seem to be going to see the same movie three times in a row now. And the funny thing is too is usually, while the local fatigue might be one thing, but maybe internationally in China and stuff, they're still digging it. Nah, man. Age of Extinction, but mind you, Age of Extinction was a very Chinese movie, in terms of what was going on in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Very blatant with
Very
its
blatantly Chinese.
super blatant.
Age of Extinction in the foreign market made $858 million, which is a lot. To compare to Last Night, made half that in 473. So for it to lose $400 million from one movie to the next says a lot about the franchise and where it's going. And I think wisely so why Michael Bay should get out of it at this point.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, every number, the opening for the movie was almost half of even the worst one being the first movie. The very first one, and I'm saying the very first Michael Bay movie, very first Michael Bay movie on its opening made 70 million. Last Night made 44, so almost half.
Mm.
Um, it's just every number doesn't look well for this movie in comparison to the previous. That being said, it still made 400 million in profit compared to its budget. And I've said this many times in other podcasts and stuff. A lot of these movies today, when we see production budget, we almost have to even ignore those, because there's so many payouts with movies that Michael Bay does, from the military, from car companies, from advertisers, from countries that pay them to record in their areas.
To film in their areas and all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
to the point that
Subsidies and stuff.
exactly to the point that these movies don't cost anything.
But
So
but they also do say you have to take a film's budget, and if you want to know its marketing, it's probably double.
so then you know what then
So
if
that almost comes up to 300 million. So
so
like, if you had to do the numbers properly, the budget was 147 million.
So then they still made
US.
$500 million.
Yeah, when you
e-
come out
e-
in the end. No, no,
either
no, no. But then you times that by two, which comes to 294 roughly,
okay.
and then you
We
minus that from
apologize
how
for
much they
having to
made in
do
total.
math on the show, by the way, people. So
Yeah, yeah. So they technically made, quote unquote, technically made 300 million.
that's still not
That's
a
what they get
bomb,
to
though.
walk away with in bank.
That's still not a bomb, though. For
No, no, not at
considering
all.
how
They're in the green. They're definitely in the green.
a lot of us ragged about on the movie, and all of this little part right now we've been saying about how little it made in comparison to the others, but it still made a lot. So
Yeah.
I think that the next thing is just more so where they're going to go from here, and if they're going to acknowledge how people have been leaving the theater since Revenge of the Fallen. Revenge of the Fallen being the peak of popularity. Revenge of the Fallen, in terms of least domestically, Revenge of the Fallen made the most money. That was the one that hit the closest to home because Revenge of the Fallen made 400 million and 402 million, where all the other movies were in a decline afterwards. But that being said, in terms of final numbers, the most successful movie of all of them
Mm.
was Dark of the Moon. Dark of the Moon just edges out Age of Extinction with a couple of bucks, more or less. But Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction got way over to the billion region, which that's a lot of money.
Mhm.
You know, it's a lot of money. We're talking, 1.12 billion dollars between Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction each, in terms of worldwide revenue. So again, compared to last night, 600 million. It's vast difference, and I'm pretty sure Paramount and Hasbro are going to make note of that. My only fear of that is they're going to go, well, look how successful the China movie was. You
Yeah.
know, they're going to look at Age of Extinction and go, well, we really China promoted that one like crazy.
Mhm.
They might go back to that. They might. I mean,
Because I'm trying to think what the last night had in it to like really promote China because they weren't really in China,
no, they
and
weren't.
the only thing I could see is what's her name, the main bad guy.
Yeah, that was played by Alpha Q, but we only really
Yeah,
found out she was Asian at the end.
yeah,
And
pretty
I
much.
mean, I'm pretty sure in a Chinese dub, it's not going to really matter what a voice actress is in the American dub. You know what I mean? So
I think they might get the same actress because she is Chinese,
well, it's true. That is a possibility.
and she's appeared in a ton of movies
But
just as a stand-in kind of
it's
thing.
just that movie
Like
obviously
she's Blink
that
from.
that movie obviously lacked a lot from that factor, which I mean, I'd hate to say it, did hurt the movie. Um, I recently saw a pair of Matt Damon movies in The Great Wall,
Mhm.
and then later on in oh my God, what was that movie that he did also that had a big Chinese influence?
There was another one.
One sec.
You sure?
I'm gonna have to edit this for a moment just so it clicks. Oh God, what was it? It's the one in Mars, The Martian.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
so hold
yeah.
on, I'm gonna yeah.
Yeah, it's The Martian.
The Martian, yeah. And The Martian was another one where here's this American space movie, and then China comes to the rescue. And
I can't remember if that's in the. I can't remember if they changed that for the movie or was it actually in the book.
oh, was
But
it?
it, or was it or was it was like a an afterthought in the book, and in the movie they kind of played it up a little bit more.
All I know is that was another factor, and so you have like that's kind of where Hollywood is going right now, where there's this big audience in China, 4.4 billion people, um, that are ticket goers, and I'm sure assume not Hasbro, Paramount is looking at the difference between Age of Extinction and Last Night, and probably going, we know probably what we got to do. Maybe not in time for the Bumblebee movie, but maybe the next movie after that, the next mainline movie. You
Mm.
know, Unicron's going to have to eat a piece of Beijing or something. I don't know. Something's going to go down. You know, who knows what, but something's going to go down. But yeah, that's just wanted to just touch on those box office numbers because it's really noticeable.
hmm And class, you can now put down your number 2 HB pencils. The test has concluded.